This house was built in 2000, and the two men that built it own a sawmill that's still water powered. So they helped us plan it, but we had to be sure of the plan of the frame before the ice came, because once the pond gets frozen, you can't saw logs anymore. So that was kind of a time restraint. So the same men did everything from the kitchen cabinets to the foundation to the basement to the roof, you name it. And we basically asked for a post and beam house that was also very practical and easy to take care of, because we didn't want to have to be going around painting and touching up and so forth. The big beams are all pine, and the pine is all harvested in the local area and then taken to the sawmill where it got sawed into big square, most of them are 8 by 8, and some are 6 by 6 beams, which they then used to build the house. And the house is about 40 feet long, so that was the one place they had to splice two beams together. But other than that, they were able to cut beams that were big enough so they didn't have to patch joints in.
Pegs were
cherry, and the braces are made out of cherry, so it's a nice contrast of sort of dark wood and light wood. We just love the view of the mountains, so I remembered how they do hotel rooms on beaches and resorts where they do a setback, so every room has a view of the beach by just building angles in. So we did that so that every room in our house has at least 2 walls with windows in them, and all of them have a nice view. And that has been really wonderful. And I grew up in the West. I love light, so we got lots of big windows with lots of insulated glass, but people in New England tend to use little tiny windows with sort of pre-thermal double layer glass type things, and I insisted. So we got that, and I like that. And the floors are also pine. They're wide pine and hammered down with the square kind of nails, the old antique style nails. So they got hand hammered in instead of shot with a nail gun. And also the man that helped us design it told us to look around in the house we were living in before and measure out the rooms and figure out which rooms we actually spent the most time in. And he recommended that the type of room we spent the most time in should be the biggest room. And that was very handy.
Ellie was telling me that this is the same style of construction that was used in the
Middle Ages all the way up.
Really?
Yeah, it's even the way that a lot of furniture is put together. You make a notch in one beam or leg or whatever it is, and you make a kind of like a point that sticks out of the other beam, and you put the beam in the notch, and that locks it in. And if you're making a huge house, you don't necessarily want to whittle a little thing like that. So they make a sort of, it slides in one into the other, and then you hammer a peg through that holds the whole thing together.
So it's not nailed or screwed or glued together?
No, not at all. Yeah, the only screws that are in it there's some big screws to hold the whole house onto the foundation. But if the wind blows against it, it just makes it stick together more solidly. It's just designed that way as a single unit. So that is really marvelous. The only drawback to having braces everywhere in the corners is you don't have as much room to hang pictures.
Oh,
But
you
that's-
figured that out.
yeah.
You worked around that well.
Yeah, we tried. Yeah. So we did what we could.
Okay, so tell me about all the collections of things. Where did all these beautiful pieces come from?
Well, some of them we both brought from our own families, some of the older art and things like that. Some of them, Ellie was in Cambridge, Massachusetts back in the 50s, and before antiques from America were popular, so she and her husband would go around and they could get an old antique wooden chair for like a dining room for like $20. So they got a lot of really nice furniture there. And then a lot of it has been going around just on different vacations and picking things up that we liked at different vacation spots. And then some of it is just quirky, and we have a giant baby grand piano that's painted midnight blue that my grandmother ordered up in 1918 when she moved into a new house in New York to match the color in an oil painting she had. And it's a Steinway, and it's lovely. And the next year, the Depression hit, and she just about starved. But she hung on to her piano because there was no way to sell it. And so it's come down to me. And then I have a lot of my own paintings around.
You were telling me about the handrail that looks like a branch.
Yeah, both for the porch posts and the railing to go upstairs from the downstairs. They just went out in the woods at our encouragement and just cut down what they needed. So there's a branch that's 2 inches in diameter that bends just right to make the stair railing to go up to the stairs. And then in the porch, they just cut down maple tree trunks from, not huge maple trees yet, but about the right size. I'm guessing they're maybe 10 inches across, 10 to 12 inches, more like 10. And so they make the porch look really rustic that way. A piece of wrought iron that was put together, welded together by a man that did wrought iron work as sort of a side piece, whimsy, made out of the scraps of what was left after his real pieces. We did get the little whimsical sort of man waving, and we call him Hiya, like he's going, Hiya, everybody, as you come in.